and just
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Fleischer. I want to call to order at this time the meeting of the State Board of Education C Committee, which stands for Student Experience and Engagement. Today, we have been joined for a quorum by Representative Brandon Best from Ward 6, and then student representatives Chamberlain and Dinkins, and then myself, Eric Goulet from Ward 3. Uh, in today's time is 6:07 p.m. We're beginning the meeting on December 10th, 2025. So right now we'll call the roll to establish quorum. Representative Best,
Present.
Representative Chamberlain,
Present.
and Representative Dinkins.
Present.
All right, excellent. We have a quorum present to begin the meeting, Dr. Fleischer. So we'll start with the first item on the agenda, which is to review the agenda. And I would just ask members if they have any new business they'd like to add or any agenda items that they would like to have changed that's on this list at this time. Can everybody see the agenda in the chat? Representative Dinkins, can you see the agenda? I'd be glad to read it through if you're having difficulty, because I know you had to get on through the phone.
Yes, I can see the agenda.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. So any requested changes to the agenda then? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on then to item number 2. So I'll just give some quick remarks on the town hall and roundtable planning and discussions, and then I'm going to turn this over to Representative Best from Ward 6 to talk about the exciting work he's done on this so far. So I've been delighted to get to work on this with Representative Best. I think we've talked a lot about as a board about empowering student voice and and trying to get out in the community and talk to people. We've had numerous discussions in committee on this matter. We voted previously in committee to approve going forward with a plan for community outreach. We didn't get down to the specifics of that yet, but we did have an opportunity to discuss this at the SBOE council breakfast that we had recently, and it seemed like there was, really everybody was excited and on board with the idea of some sort of student outreach where we get to have students interact and provide feedback to SBOE, and then also possibly roundtables where we bring in experts to talk about some of the core priorities for this committee, which was trying to examine safety and supports for our schools. So I want to commend you specifically, Representative Best, for your work on this and for taking the initiative to get the ball rolling with MICFA on this. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet with MICFA and hear presentations from their students. I believe it was you, me, and Representative Thompson who was in those
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
And it was truly extraordinary, some of the presentations we heard. Representative Chamberlain, were you in one of those meetings? I'm trying to remember presenting at that time, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
was. I did data transparency on Panorama within DCPS.
That's wonderful. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, and the students there are extraordinary. So I'm truly excited to hear more from Representative Best. He's worked on this with MICFA since the last meeting to help get the ball rolling on this. So just Representative Best, I'm going to turn it over to you to present kind of your ideas on this, but just wanted to really commend you for your work on this and thank you for your leadership in getting the ball rolling. So thank you so much. And the
Thank you.
floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, so just for some background, I think in the work that I've done in the past, I would say my leadership style centers around the belief that there is a solution to every problem, and the people who are often best suited to help solve those problems are the ones who experience them on a daily basis. And so if you want to solve challenges that students face, then I think that it's important to elevate the voices of said students. A few years back, I had the opportunity to work on a series of. I've been working on how I identify this because I don't want to get caught up in this town hall thing. We're going to erase the word town hall from our vocabulary for a little while. But I had an opportunity to work on or to lead a series of youth-led convenings across the city that culminated in like a student summit surrounding Safe Passage. So this was before Safe Passage was on the map. Some students were telling us they didn't feel safe traveling to and from school. We set up something called a mile in my shoes, where we got our city leaders to travel to and from school with the kids, and provide input and feedback on like all the challenges that they see. We then led a series of student-led convenings across the city. I think we had about 6 of them. And we brought everybody together to have a culminating event where the students provided their challenges as well as their solutions to a lot of the city officials. And that's actually that kicked off a series of events that eventually led to Safe Passage. The mayor shortly thereafter funded Safe Passage, and it became a really big thing in DC. And so, as we continue to talk about how we can improve student voice as it surrounds student safety, I thought, man, this would be a really good opportunity to really work with our kids to get students across the city to share what challenges they have, but also come up with solutions in creative ways and provide those solutions to people who can make a difference, thus elevating their voices. And so I came up with the idea of leading a series of youth-led student safety convenings across the city, culminating in a citywide student safety summit. I know I just said a lot, but let me break that down and what that actually looks like. I think between these two groups, the SAC and between our friends over at MICFA, I can't think of a better group of students to lead something like this. Now, obviously, this is all coming from here right now, and we would have to get the SAC to say, hey, you know what, we actually want to do this. But so long we often make decisions without including our students, and also we often ask our students to come to us instead of us trying to come to where our students are. And that often leaves a lot of students out of the picture. There are so many people who just will never present at a state board meeting just because of the obstacles of travel, just because of timing. But what happens if we come to them? What happens if we have our students who are leading this, who are leading these sessions where, we provide you some training, but then you take it and you run. And I think when we did it before, I think we had close to 300 students participate in this. But I look at the SAC and I look at MICFA, and that's already close to 150 students by themselves. Not saying that everybody would do it, but I'm just saying like we have some incredibly sharp minds. So what I did was I provided you with a proposal um, that you all can look over. And I think my goal is to, one, um, nail down some key specifics of this. But then I think the next step would be to, one, take this outside and to the SAC to see if they would actually be interested in doing something like this. Because I know if we take it through committee, cool. But then, I think a really big part of this is actually the SAC as well. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm gonna slow down. I am gonna say that we do have a partner who is extremely interested in this work, McFoot Challenge, as we just shared. We've had a couple meetings, and they are 100% in on this, and they are in whether it's to support or to lead, because they know that this is the right thing to do. And so I'll just one pause for questions, and then if I need to dive deep into the proposal, I can, or we can just take a couple minutes to take a pause and then look at the proposal, and then see what we are thinking.
Well, thank you, Representative Best. I'll start and I don't really have questions so much because you and I have talked about this. but I just want to commend you again for this idea. And I appreciate the history lesson on safe passages, which has been one of the true success stories that we've had in ensuring that students feel safe going to and from school. So that, like, providing kind of the context of how this came to be safe passages is really helpful because I think we, working with our students, can come up with some really uh, impactful decisions, for improving safety and supports in our schools. So, we obviously want to hear from SAC on it, uh, and then what we can do after that is, see maybe if you can present there if they want to have you there. And I fully support what you're doing. I want to help in any way I can. So, is there anything, I would love to, move for approval of this general framework tonight, but I then think we need to reach out to SAC and maybe you can reach out and talk to the student reps and see if they collectively want to, get involved with this. And then thank you for the word convenings as well, because I've been trying to wrestle with what to call this, whether it be a summit or a roundtable or,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good placeholder term, at least for now, that makes everybody comfortable because we don't want to use a term that starts getting, people nervous by saying it's a town hall or
Oh
summit or
no.
something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll use convenings until we come up with something more formal for it. But thank you. I'll turn it in order to the representatives to see if they have any questions for you. Representative Chamberlain, as a member of the committee, you were here first.
Sure. I'm interested in I read through the doc as you were briefing us. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was a plan to have these convenings hosted at schools, having schools be the host sites. Um, would you elaborate a little bit more on that? And I'm just thinking like how we're gonna do the logistics of like 150 students in a school. I assume this is going to be on the weekends. Um,
I think that's the beauty of the planning. That
okay.
we would all come together and figure out what makes the most sense, right? I don't know if I want to say it's at the on evening, but weekend sounds perfect to me. And so the thought process is one, this is this is a draft, right? This is a draft that's
Mhm.
going out, and so I want us to be able to poke holes. So I think one time we were talking, we said, should it be at schools? We said schools because we know we could get access rather easily to schools. But then
Mhm.
we also think about, well, like, well, what if there's some beefs, right? Or between people in different schools and, just trying to avoid some of the challenges. And so we've thought about schools. We've also thought about libraries and things of that nature or rec centers. Regardless of what it is, we would need to work with some type of external partner, whether it is a school or whether it's the library or whether it's a recreational center to get these things off the ground.
Okay. I just have one more quick question. Um, I'm assuming that the purpose of doing eight was like one per ward.
Yeah,
Is
one per
that
ward, but
fair?
yeah, one per ward. However, just because of capacity, I'm also open to four if we can
Mhm.
find four that are centrally located. The thought is students could attend based off of where their school is, or they could attend based off of where they live. And so we're not saying in order if you can only go here if you're at this school, but it's this truly a citywide, not a school convening. And so I want to make sure that's clear also.
Okay. Thank you so much, and very good job.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. And Representative Best, are you still thinking probably we would look at maybe trying to kick this off late January, early February? Is that the timeline you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we kick off all the planning and all the working and stuff like that around that time and seeing as though if there are four, we want to spread it out a little, but not too much. Um, uh, I know that I plan on being at all of them, and I think that we would have our student reps lead with our support,
Yeah.
and well, not just the student reps, but like the key SAC or student rep members, whoever steps up to take that lead, I'd be okay with that. And I think there's a place for everyone to step in. So, for example, we'll have like table moderators, and we'll train the table moderators on like how you can jump in. And we would also have someone there as well, like from the board, to really make sure that we are not dropping the ball on anything. But I think everyone would have a place from, making sure people know where to go when they get in, making sure the conversations are going in the right place, making sure we have people there who can steer that conversation back if it goes off track. Someone who's leading the activities, because I want these to be fun. I don't want it to just be, what do you think is the problem? Well, the problem is this, I want people to have a different way of thinking of solving these problems. And I think that's what the human-centered design component really brings to the table.
Okay, well, that sounds terrific. And I know our when I look at our SAC meetings, that those are fun. So those are something, and I think our student reps know how to make those fun. So I'll turn next to Representative Dinkins, who's a member of the committee, and then to Vice President Williams, who's joining us, who's not on the committee but has joined us at today's meeting. So, Representative Dinkins, do you have any questions or feedback for Representative Best on this agenda item?
So I would say that I don't necessarily have a question, but I do think that it's a very well thought out idea. I really like the citywide approach and how it's like intentional where you can attend based on where you live or where you go to school. I think that's a very good approach. I know that at the last SAC meeting, especially within the safety group for research, safe passage was expressed to be a hindrance to advocacy. And so like really broadening the accessibility of like advocacy, I think is really important and something that a lot of the members in the SAC will think as well. So I think that's awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. We'll turn next to Vice President Williams for round one, and then I see Representative Chamberlain with her hand up for a second round. So, Vice President Williams, the floor is yours.
Oh no, can't hear you.
Vice President, I think you're muted at this point.
All right, let me take out these ear. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
thank you.
All right, wonderful. Good to see you all. I'm glad to be with you all. Yeah, I just want to commend Representative Vest for the leadership on this. I really am excited about it. For those of you who don't know, like in my day job, Perry sees me every day in high school social studies classroom. We're currently actually working with MICVA Challenge on a Project Soapbox speech. I don't have any questions. I have one comment and then one kind of just wonder or piece around because broader collaboration. And I love to see the work plan. I think first off, I think convening is the perfect word for this, because that's the role that we play as the state board. And one of the authorities that we do have is to really bring people together. And I think that's really great. And I think it's clear as to kind of what's going on here. And I love the flexibility that you have with kind of workshopping this and taking in feedback around what can really be inclusive to get students from all over the city there. Because I think representation and the representation from the SAC and MICVA is a great, really start. I think the thing too to kind of think about just in partnership, if next time you talk with MICVA, is they have what's called like an Action Civics Fair in the late spring. And the Action Civics Fair is where students will actually, we do this in my DC history class second semester, but where students will take that problem, similar to kind of what you're talking about, and design their solutions, but they'll analyze kind of root causes to the problems too. So they're already kind of come to the table with barriers that can lead to change. And then kind of have thought through and worked through those. So that could also be another way to really expand the reach of students around the city. And think about also what is needed in different parts of the city by coordinating with that event that MICVA already has in the spring. So I think that's just one piece around alignment that I would bring to the committee's attention. But overall, am happy to support and glad to see this work move forward.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for that additional information.
Thank you, Vice President Williams. We'll go now for a second round for Representative Chamberlain, who's got her hand raised.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I missed this in my first speaking round. I wanted to mention that in our SAC meeting on Monday, we did bring this up near the end of the meeting. Um, and so there are SAC members that know it's going to happen. We did ask for suggestions on any sort of topics or what they'd be really interested in doing at those meetings. And we'll probably be receiving some feedback around that within the next few weeks.
Cool.
That's great. Right. I want to just thank you again, Representative Best, for your work on this. I don't think this requires an official vote at this time, but I think the next steps really are just continuing to work with MICVA and then, starting those conversations with the SAC to make sure that they're on board with collaboration. And we could do that. I don't want to. I almost missed you, Doctor.
Doctor?
Uh, slash Representative Johnson Law. Congratulations. Uh, Thank you for joining us. We're on agenda item 2, and you haven't missed anything. Representative Best has included his presentation in the chat there, so you can download that and read the work he's already done with MICVA on setting this up. And then we're just have right now a round of any questions or feedback that you have for Representative Best on the work he's done on this.
Thank you, Representative Goulet. Representative Best, can you put it in the chat again for me so I can see it? And I'm in the council break room. The special education hearing is today, and it's a lot of stuff about OSSI, stuff about DOT, stuff about DCPS, stuff about the practical studies diploma. It's a lot going on. So got it. All righty. Thank you, Representative Best. Representative Goulet, I'm gonna kick it back to you.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for testifying at council on this issue for the maybe not on behalf of the board, but as a board member. So thank you so much, and thanks for making time to join us here.
We also have Representative Colson who's online too.
Oh, I can't see her.
Hey, Dr. Colson.
Oh, I see Dr. Colson. Sorry, apologies, Dr. Colson. I didn't see you because we have now 2 screens here. So thank you for joining us today. We're on agenda item 2. The presentation by Representative Best is in the chat. This is the work he's already done collaborating with MICVA, and we were just having a round to ask Representative Best any questions or to provide feedback to what he's provided so far. So would you like to ask any questions or provide feedback at this time?
I missed the presentation. I will check it out when I stop driving, but I'm excited that we're doing this. I'm sure that the work that Representative Best has already done is stellar. I know that he said that he's done this before, and I'm really excited for the collaboration between us and MICVA Challenge. So that's all that I have for right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure that you can get the copy of it to look over. And we don't have to officially vote to approve this today. This was just, a discussion item. So we can then, continue that discussion with SAC. So if you do have feedback later, please provide it and we'll make sure that we incorporate it in as we go. So I think that's it for this agenda item, unless anybody wants to raise their hand and say something more. Dr. Fleischer, is there anything you want to add to this item at this time? Okay, fantastic. All right, great. All right, well, thank you, Representative Best. We'll move on now and talk about the SAC research projects. And I am turning to our student representatives for this item. Correct, Dr. Fleischer?
The round table, sorry. There is this round table
Oh, I
plan.
put, well, the round, oh, so the round tables, I don't think are as far along. I think those would be, we would see how Representative Best's uh, convenes go first. And then, I had thought that perhaps, if we feel there's gaps there, we could do like round tables, which would be more kind of, uh, I would say almost like kitchen table discussions where we maybe on a specific topic that we think needs to be addressed, bring experts together and just sit down and have a discussion. Now, we can call roundtables as a committee, but I would like to kind of see where the discussion with the student goes first before we do something that's like duplicates that effort. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just don't want to put too much on the table all at once. But this was, I think we were trying to do first the student engagement and then the roundtables.
So
But
if I have that correct, and Brandon, if Representative Best, if you want to jump in here as well. So we would be wrapping up the workshops in June. And so we would anticipate maybe late summer, fall roundtable. That makes sense? Or would it be in conjunction while while the workshops are happening before like the concluding workshop?
I think we'd want to assess our capacity would be my answer to that. I mean, I think so. We change on agenda item 2. Town hall is now convenings. That's what we're using for the term there. I mean, the roundtables, what I envisioned of this, and anybody else feel free to, speak up. I figured if there were specific topics that kept coming up in our student engagement sessions or things that we really felt needed to be addressed, like let's say we needed to, in each of these student convenings, like the issue of bullying came up, and we felt we needed to then convene, some experts on bullying, adult experts, maybe to come together and talk about specifically like changes to the definition of bullying to include cyberbullying. And I'm just providing an example there that, after the feedback from the students, we might want to then bring that uh, roundtable together, and we can, as a committee, call a roundtable. And I would like to have it. I mean, the reason we put roundtables in the bylaws was so that people could sit at a table with each other and talk without having a dais and all the formalities of a traditional like hearing. So, I mean that's what I'm thinking on this. I think it could be that it, starts while we maybe have one or two of the convenings left, or we may find that it makes more sense to do it afterwards. But I do think what we want to be mindful of is we need to get a work product done, by the fall because we have to vote it out, uh, by the end of the year, because then after the year's done, the board switches over. So like that's the goal I'm thinking of is just trying to work backwards from that timeline.
Might I make a recommendation
Of
for
course.
uh members are wrapping up their feedback on the nurse letter, so that should be transmitted. And perhaps DC Health, upon getting back to us with their response, that might be, if that's something that you're interested in, but something to like sink our teeth into in terms of nurses, how
I love
like
that idea. I think that would be great. I mean, and that would be a good thing. We might be able to even convene that, in May or something, in time to, have it done while school is in session. So I'm all for that. I'm just trying to, I want to work with you very closely on this, Dr. Fleischer, and the staff of the state board, because I want to make sure that whatever we put in motion with Representative Best, that we then don't pile on more things and then everybody feels overwhelmed and we don't, continue to keep a high quality product. So we'll be very mindful of that, work with you on that, but that's kind of just the timeline I'm thinking. Uh, and I'm fine working over the summer on these, but with the understanding that sometimes you have people who are traveling during the summer. So we may want to do them late spring as well.
yeah, and absolutely those conversations aside from a roundtable, we also could just do like just a call offline with DC Health just to follow up with any outstanding questions.
Okay. All right. I would love that. So, is there anything else then, now that we've kind of fully explored this agenda item, is there anything else on this item that anyone would like to discuss? Okay. All right, great. We'll move on then to item 3. We're on schedule and we intend to stay there. The SAC research projects. So I'm going to turn it over, I guess, to Representative Chamberlain. And oh gosh, did I lose Representative Dinkins? Oh no, there she is. She's still on. Okay. And Representative Dinkins, do you want, the floor is yours. Do you want to talk a little bit about what SAC did yesterday with the research discussion?
Yes, I can start. So on Monday, the SAC met with the Education Research Collaborative to help with our research projects, and it was very productive. We moved past like the initial stages of just talking about ideas, and we started to figure out what exactly we wanted to study and how we were going to measure each research question. And we walked away with more specific questions on our plans. We split into small research groups, the other group, career, college, and readiness, safety, and individual assignments. And each team worked with a research expert that helped make sure that our questions were clear and that we remained relevant to the topic. Focusing on the safety group, the safety team focused heavily on like what makes a student feel safe at schools, but we shifted towards thinking about school resource officers. We agreed that we wanted to identify what makes a student feel safe, and what makes them feel secure, and knowledge of SRO school resource officers, checking in what students know about what school resource officers do and how they're supposed to interact, and then trying to understand the role and overall impact and influence that SROs have on the student body and the school experience. Um, Representative Goulet and I also talked about chatting with the SROs and to hear about their daily experiences, see how they view their job and what the interactions of students are like from their perspective. And I think that that would give us important context to see facts and identify like the data that we collect. So we're focused on getting that information and seeing how we can use feedback to help with recommendation for school policies.
Thank you, Representative Dinkins. Representative Chamberlain, do you want to add more on these or?
Sure. So I'm gonna have to step out in 1 second, just for a minute. But I would love to thank you so much, Representative Dinkins. That was a very, very good summary of what we had done on Monday. I would just add that we had some guests of honor from the DC Education Research Collaborative, and I brought in another guest of honor, Mr. Eric Goulet, as to join nursing and school hygiene discussions with the other group, which is the one that I am the point of contact for. And then I brought in a wonderful lady from DCPS, Miss Karen Lee, who was my MICVA Challenge internship supervisor. So proud to represent. We had some very smart people, very knowledgeable people in the room to help the students with their projects. And I think we're on track to completing them in the spring.
Well, terrific. And we'll let you step aside here and ask all of our tough questions to Representative Dinkins here, because we know you have to leave. So I actually don't have any questions. I just want to commend you both on what was really I mean, continue amazing attendance at SAC. The turnout has been incredible, and I thought it was really fun. And I don't know if I qualify as a guest of honor, but I was happy to be there and to participate in it. It was truly extraordinary. So I'll open it up for any questions. We'll start with Representative Best.
Well, not even a question, but she was actually my partner when I led the first citywide convenings. And so she was awesome. And so I know she's just amazing. And I'm glad that you all brought her in.
Yeah, she is the best. She knows how to show up and show out every time. Our One of her other interns, she had four interns. We were all best friends. One of her other interns, he is a sophomore at Cornell now. His name is Ayotunde, and he went to McKinley Technology High School. And so, if you know him, he was one of the first kids that was working on Safe Passage. So we have a lot of trailblazers up in our DCPS offices.
That's fantastic. All right, we'll turn next to, I'm going to just open it up to either Representative Colson or Representative Johnson Law if they want to come off mute. I know they're trying to juggle multiple things at this point with testimony. So don't feel the need to come off mute at this time unless if you're unavailable. So would either of you like to speak at this time? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Williams to see if he has any questions for our student representatives. Okay, Representative Williams, do you have any further questions you'd like to add?
I do not. This is all very exciting, and I appreciate the productivity that this committee is making on these issues. So excited to kind of hear more about it before we get back to a working session.
Okay, terrific. All right, great. So anything further from our student reps before we move on to item 4, which turns to Dr. Fleischer? Okay. All right, Dr. Fleischer, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a really quick update. I'm working on a chronic absenteeism crosswalk update. We did have one back in 2024, just looking at the 4 bills related to chronic absenteeism. and how they relate to SR 24-7, the state board's own recommendations on chronic absenteeism. This upcoming crosswalk just updates what happened to those four bills, as well as looking at Zachary Parker's CARE Act, the CARE package bill that includes Improving School Outcomes Amendment Act of 2025. Again, just sharing that out, but also diving further into uh, the Everyday Counts task force, like where are we in that process? Other reports that came out, I know OSSI will be publishing their report soon on attendance. So this crosswalk will just be very high level, like where are we at with chronic absenteeism? I'm aiming for publishing that March at the end of March. And similar to the last time that we shared out the crosswalk, um, it'll be more like internal. It'll be for members to use when testifying on attendance issues, or just again for this committee to just stay up to speed on chronic absenteeism. But I just wanted to give a quick update on that project. Again, this is much more internal than like a public facing document for now. But does anybody have any questions?
Just a quick question on this, and I think you've already described this as high level, but when do you think we'll get to the point, Dr. Fleischer, of if we see in there certain, well, I'm thinking of like certain trends that are affecting absenteeism that fall in the realm of safety and supports that are needed? Uh, when do you think we'll get that data? Because that would be potentially a good topic either to discuss with the students or to do with kind of the expert roundtables, which we would trail that a little bit. So, like, what are your thoughts on terms of if you can gauge what the timeline is going to be to get that, greater detail?
I mean, that's a great question. I think just top of mind, I could probably get out just some high level items in February.
Okay.
And also that'll be around the same time as like I'm just thinking through and putting together some items for the community schools panel that was raised for January. And so just thinking about that as like attendance as one of the metrics that we can look at for community schools and their impacts on students. Um, Another thing that I'm thinking about, the pilot program, they just released their year one report. I'm also gonna add just like high level what came out of that report that maybe we could look into for recommending scaling that up or like funding those items. So maybe like late January, February, I can try to get something out to this committee so that we can think through that for the things like the convenings, workshops, and other items. Is that helpful? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much so. I appreciate that. I think that timeline would work well with kind of what we're thinking with the student convenings and then the expert roundtables potentially following that. So that would be great. Does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask Dr. Fleischer on agenda item number 4? Okay, I think you answered
I
it all.
do.
Oh,
I do.
we got Representative Colson. Go right ahead.
Just a background context. Dr. Fleischer, you mentioned a 1 year report for a pilot program. Which program was that?
The Department of Behavioral God, am I blanking? DBH.
Department of Behavioral Health.
Department of Behavioral Health to like late in the evening, but yes. And I'm pulling up the crosswalk from the previous year.
Okay.
While I'm pulling that up. But is that helpful? And I can also share in the chat a direct link to that full report. I think it's
Okay.
about 70 pages.
Okay. Thank you.
This is the crosswalk that we published a few years ago. And this is the DBH pilot program year one that I'll put in the chat. But I'm happy to answer any other questions too. Um, about the crosswalk.
The
Anything?
crosswalk is coming up for me as page not found.
Uh, Let me see what's up with that. Okay. I'll have to fix that. But for the time being, um
It is working for me, Dr. Fleischer. So, Representative Chamberlain, I don't know, perhaps you have an ad blocker or something, or some sort of
Yeah, you may be correct.
maybe your security system is stronger than mine on my computer. So,
Yeah, we'll go with that.
okay. Representative Johnson Law.
Thanks, Representative Goulet. Dr. Fleischer,
mhm.
in what you just put in here about the chronic absenteeism, is there like any data points on our students with disabilities with excused absences and how that's either like affecting the rate? Is there like a is there like a breakdown of anything in there? Or if you don't know, that's perfectly okay. I was wondering.
No, for the upcoming report, because I know the previous crosswalk was just looking at the proposed bills and how they relate to our resolution. Is your question this upcoming one if I'll be mentioning anything like that in the crosswalk?
Yes.
I didn't have it so much planned into the report, but I certainly can add that if that's helpful. And I could work with you offline on what that might look like. Right now,
Mhm.
these next 2 weeks, I'm just putting together the outline for what this
Mhm.
report will look like. That'll be
Mhm.
most digestible for members. I
Got
did
it.
a lot of the literature review over these past few weeks, and
Mhm.
I'm waiting for Ossie's report to be published to really dive into those numbers. But once it is published, I can look at specifically things like students with disabilities and their chronic absenteeism numbers, and maybe work with partners to dive into that and analyze that data further. I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Because I was just wondering like how it is just kind of included in everything. Like I know like if I look at it just on a basic general level, I think the number is like is it 43%? Absent is that the absenteeism rate? Y'all help me out. It's 43, right? Or 42? Something like that. Anyway, I was just trying to figure out like, okay, like out of this 43, like is there like a breakdown? Like, okay, of what's happening and why students are absent, including excused and including kids that have disabilities. So I was just trying to figure that out. So as we talk about policy, like how that is already again baked in, but we can talk offline.
Yeah, there are like some of those were raised. I know DC Policy Center with Ossie just had a presentation on that, and I believe that was raised, but I can include those numbers in the crosswalk as well. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay. All right, great. Well, Dr. Fleischer, thank you so much for your presentation and appreciate the update. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is me. So the kindergarten enrollment issue update. I've been reaching out now to the families of the students that were impacted by this controversial topic that we had last spring. Unfortunately, I mean, the update was, the council did request that these students be evaluated over the summer before the school year started. All but one of the students failed the examination, or found to not be ready for kindergarten. But yet, exemptions were only granted to one or two of the students out of the entire population, even though the other ones were found not to be ready to start kindergarten. Many of the students went to private school. They said, they had wanted to do DCPS, but they weren't going to put their children through that of having to skip a grade. So they went to private school. Others did decide to go to DCPS. I'm trying to check in to see how those students are doing. And then still others went to Montgomery County Public Schools. Now, Maryland has an age cutoff of September 1st, not September 30th. So those students are actually eligible for kindergarten in the state of Maryland. And the families, though, have to pay essentially what amounts to private school tuition to send them to public school in Maryland. So the issue that's going to happen is those students will then be coming back into our school system, just as if anybody had moved back in from Maryland. And there may be a controversy because even though the regs are clear on this, DCPS may try to still force those kids to skip a grade. So I'm going to be on top of that. Just generally, I'm very disappointed with how DCPS has handled this issue. Uh, I mean, the retaliation against families making frivolous reports of families for child neglect when their students were in a pre-K 4 program is something I felt was entirely inappropriate. I still do, and I think that stopped. Somebody, I think, told them to stop doing that, which was wise. Uh, this needs to be changed. There's no state in the country that forces 4-year-olds to go to kindergarten if they're not developmentally ready. That doesn't occur anywhere. We are the only state that now does that. And it's very problematic because you're taking students that with just another year to develop, uh, you're instead forcing them to go to kindergarten, which is much more academically rigorous than it used to be. And sometimes these children then end up on IEPs when they really just need a little bit more time. I'm very mindful of not wanting to create a huge age band for kindergarten. I mean, obviously, 12 months is the smallest age band you can have for the kindergarten age range. I think anything beyond 16 months, barring extraordinary exceptions, would be too much. So I'm going to try to look at best practices on this. I've already done a ton of research on it and try to come up with a proposal to present to the committee and then the board. This issue was already referred to our committee, so it's here. But I want to be prepared in case this comes back up again in the spring, which it very well might, if DCPS again tries to force children to skip a grade. And I feel like we really, for all the wrong reasons, took a good policy that we had and made it bad for really, I thought, no reason whatsoever. So that's the update on that. I'm glad to take questions on this. My line would be to try to get a proposal to the board probably in February on this, which would probably take the form of resolution and another round of legislation to fix this permanently. We provided just a stopgap bill to try to fix it for just those families, but this really needs to be fixed permanently going forward. And we've got what all the other 50 states do on this, and as I say, DC is an extreme outlier. In no jurisdiction does what we do, and I'll take questions at this time. Okay, either I did a really good or really bad job with that presentation, so I will now
You
go
did
to.
really great, Representative Goulet. I think
Thank
we're
you.
all just, well, I'm in solidarity with you. I'm just trying to figure out like what more can we do, you know?
Well, I think we just got to keep advocating and we see what we can do. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of your support. And I apologize again, Representative Johnson Law, for sticking you with the first meeting on this issue with an A and C. You got blindsided by. So
It
uh,
was totally fine. I was like, okay, wait, what's happening? I thought
you're,
it was one issue, but it was this issue, and I was like, oh, okay, got it. And so it was
you're
okay. That's why we're here to support each other because if it's affecting if it's affecting up in Ward 3, then is it affecting what's happening in Ward 8? And especially as our kids are going, they're crossing, I call it God's good green countryside to go to school. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of our Ward 8 kiddos are attending a lot of other schools in the ward. And so is it affecting them at those schools? You know what I'm saying?
You have my back on this. Representative Johnson Law and I were supposed to be attending a meeting on this issue, and I ended up with a really bad cold that my kids gave me right before the meeting, and it couldn't go, so she got stuck with it by herself. So I feel bad about that to this day, Representative Johnson Law. So I
It's
appreciate
totally
you
fine.
covering it.
You're
Um,
okay.
all right, well, wonderful. So we now are still on schedule because it's 6:56, and we have 3 minutes to do our last agenda item, which is any new business and next steps. We already decided we did not have new business that we need to discuss today. So are there any like agenda items people would preliminarily like us to discuss for the next meeting? Or, as always, feel free just to email those to Dr. Fleischer and myself as we go through the month, and we'll make sure that they get on the agenda. But is there anything else people would like to discuss either at this meeting or upcoming for the next meeting? Okay, I'm not hearing anything at this point, and nobody's raising their hand, so I'm going to assume that we are good for now. So I'm going to just thank all of you for joining us today, and I greatly appreciate your attendance. My phone is ringing right now. I'll give that person a call back shortly. So just at this time, we'll do a motion to adjourn. So would anybody like to motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Okay, and then can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, fantastic. All right. All in favor of adjourning at this time, say aye.
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 Motion's unanimous. Thank you all for attending today. Thank you, Dr. Fleischer, for holding the meeting, and I hope everybody has a great week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
And we're done on time before
Yeah.
7 o'clock. That's
Thank
always
you
a
all.
good thing. Have a good one.
Thank